Hello, my name is Juan Carlos Aguirre, and I would like to thank you for watching our Burkenroad Reports video covering DENBURY Resources Incorporated. This report was prepared by MBA students at Tulane University, and I would like to introduce the analyst team. From left to right, Jeffrey Rohr, he is our IRM, then Solomon Raymond, Hazabul Alam Chowdhury, Juan Carlos Aguirre and myself, Alexis Brostos, and Andrea Blanco Durango. DENBURY, headquartered in Plano, Texas, is an independent oil and gas and exploration and production company. The company's primary focus is on enhanced oil recovery by using carbon dioxide, which is considered to be the most efficient and most effective method of tertiary oil recovery. DENBURY has leveraged its competitive advantage as the operator and owner of the largest reserve of CO2 east of the Mississippi River, and has focused its long-term strategy on tertiary oil recovery. DENBURY is considered to be today the leader in the U.S. market in tertiary oil recovery. Some quick facts about DENBURY. It operates in the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol DNR and has a market cap of just above $7.2 billion. It also has a value of just below $10 billion and it has 390 million shares outstanding. DENBURY also has oil and gas reserves of almost 462 million barrels of oil equivalent, of which 77% are oil. This ratio is pretty high when compared to the other companies in the E&P industry. Here we can see a snapshot of DENBURY's 5-year stock performance and can appreciate how its price is fairly correlated to oil prices. Currently, DENBURY's stock price is traded around $18.5 per share. Now, before we go any further, let us explain the process on which DENBURY has found a competitive advantage. When an oil field is first drilled, the existing underground natural pressure forces oil to the surface. However, after time, pressure decreases and water injections are required to achieve secondary rounds of extraction. After that first two extractions, the industry estimates that around 60% of the original oil remains in place. Now, to bring the residual oil to the surface, tertiary extraction is performed through CO2 EOR. First, a pipeline injects pressurized liquid CO2 down into the well, as we can see in the chart. CO2 passes through the pores of the rock, dislodging small amounts of oil, and then the two materials commingle underground at the miscible zone. The solution moves closer to the well, creating a concentrated oil bank and rises to the surface. EOR enables E&P companies to recover an additional 17% of the original oil that existed in the well. DENBURY has more than half of its oil production come from EOR technologies using CO2. This map shows DENBURY's EOR target areas. DENBURY's Gulf Coast production fields are strategically located near refineries, main pipelines, and other established infrastructure. The proximity advantage provides better marketing deals for Gulf Coast products as compared to the Rocky Mountain region, where production depends on transportation and market centers that are farther from production fields. In this graph, we can see DENBURY's potential CO2 source. This graph shows estimated reserves of CO2 in the Jackson Dome, as well as the anthropogenic supply that DENBURY could acquire in the future from man-made CO2. It also shows the ability of DENBURY to recycle up to 50% of CO2 that it uses. In recent developments, DENBURY acquired the Riley Ridge and Horseshoe units, which provided gas, helium, and most importantly CO2, which is critical for the future growth of the Rocky Mountain. On January 12, 2012, DENBURY also announced that it would sell $155 million of the company's non-core assets, which would be used to pay off debt, fund capital expenditure, and repurchase company stock. In this slide, we can see the future outlook of DENBURY. On the left-hand side, we can see how 6 tertiary oil fields are projected to increase DENBURY's annual oil production to more than 50 million barrels of oil by 2021. On the right-hand side, we can see how in the first half of the decade, DENBURY will have nominal debt payments, and beyond 2015, tertiary oil revenues should increase to pay off large debt. So basically, projected cash flows will ensure liquidity and will help cover capital expenditures. Future outlook of the industry. In this graph, we can see how E&P companies and oil-leveraged E&P companies have been the best performing sectors in the Standard & Poor's since 2009. And since DENBURY is a highly oil-leveraged E&P company, we can predict that it will benefit from higher oil prices. Additionally, because of global political factors, oil prices are expected to remain high. Future outlook of the world's energy. The threat of substitutes for oil and natural gas is low. Natural gas will double its demand and will become almost equal to that of coal by 2035. However, oil will still remain the largest source of energy. And when combining oil and natural gas, they will both account for half the world's demand of energy by 2035. which in this case we see as a positive thing. We selected Denbury's peers based on the geographic location of proven operating wells, their market capitalization, enhanced oil recovery operations, and oil-dominated revenues. As we can see in the chart, Denbury ranked second amongst its peers with a proven oil-to-total reserve ratio of 77.4%. However, Denbury stood out at the top with a $10.6 billion of PV10 reserve value. In comparison with its peers, Denbury had a relatively low price-to-equity of 10.6 and price-to-book value ratio of 1.2, which indicate that investors had expectations of higher earnings growth for Denbury's peers. These ratios also indicate that peer stocks were more expensive than Denbury's, which might signal Denbury's stock is undervalued. In addition, Denbury's EV/EBITDA ratio of 5.7 for 2011 was substantially lower than 2010's ratio of 10.42. However, most of Denbury's peers have relatively higher EV/EBITDA ratios in 2011. Therefore, from an analysis of the EV/EBITDA ratio, Denbury's stock seemed to be undervalued relative to its peers in 2011. Nonetheless, Denbury's relatively higher ROE of 12.5% and lower debt-to-equity ratio of 55.7 indicated superior operating efficiency than most of its peers. We estimated a 12-month target price of $21 per share by using the discounted cash flow and present value or PV10 valuation models. We use the DCF method because free cash flows provide more transparency when measuring a company's performance. Furthermore, in evaluating Denbury, the DCF valuation methodology becomes especially relevant when finding intrinsic value because a company's operating strategy is more focused on tertiary operation than the majority of its peers. We use the PV10 value model because it essentially captures the operation of an E&P company and provides a snapshot of the performance of Denbury's portfolio of assets. With oil representing 77% of the proven reserves and accounting for more than 90% of total production, asset performance becomes critical when evaluating Denbury. The P10 method also streamlines some of those shortcomings of the DCF model when valuing the company's stock. We also reviewed other valuation methodologies such as enterprise value to EBITDA, price to earnings, and price to cash flow per share. But we concluded that peer group multiples would not truly capture the unique operational and production niche of the company. Denbury has an oil-focused portfolio of assets and has the highest number of tertiary oil fields among its peers. Additionally, no peers of Denbury possess natural CO2 reserves as Denbury does in the Jackson Dome. The peer group multiples method did not address this competitive advantage from Denbury. In the DCF valuation, we discounted both the project free cash flows and the terminal value with WACC to derive a 12-month target price of $19.81 per share. Also, we can see in the chart for the PV10 valuation, we calculated the difference between the projected oil and gas revenues and projected lease operating expenses and discounted the difference at 10%. Because we are focusing the 12-month target period, we added the first 5 years net present values instead of taking 10 years net present values and estimated that the target price would be $22.57 per share. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. The Burkenroad reports are produced solely as a part of an educational program at Tulane University's A.B. Freeman School of Business. The reports are not investment advice and should not rely on them in making any investment decisions. You should consult an investment professional and/or conduct your own primary research regarding any potential investment.